sometimes on this program, I lament the fact that the UFC doesn't come out and say definitively this fight is a number one contender fight. Sometimes they come out and say, oh, if this guy looks good, if this guy looks dominant, if this guy does it, whatever it is, they kind of like hold the cards close to their vest. They try to not back themselves into a corner. And prior to this fight, which we all thought was going to be a number one contender fight, they never came out and said it was going to be a number one contender fight. Borralho is weighing in before the Khamzat DDP fight as the backup, which sometimes, not always, but sometimes is a sign that, like, you're right there. Nassourdine is making fun of him. But it seems for the longest time that these are the two guys who will fight, and they will determine the number one contender. Along the way, because they hadn't fought in so long, here comes RDR, and here comes Fluffy Hernandez. And Dana White essentially said, like, it's between these four. I don't typically like that, but now you kind of understand why they do that. Because I'm not saying Imavov isn't going to get the title shot, isn't going to be next for Khamzat. He has certainly done enough. He has won 5 in a row. It's against quality opposition. He was very, very dominant against Caio Borralho. But what I'm saying is, if Fluffy Hernandez and or RDR do something spectacular on October 18th in Vancouver, British Columbia, I would not be surprised if they get the shot over Imavov. Because the Imavov win felt bigger. If that fight was at the Apex, he'd be in trouble. It felt bigger and more exciting because he was in Paris, and that crowd is just absolutely unbelievable. They continue to raise the bar. But it lacked the excitement, the highlight reel finish that perhaps the UFC was looking for. If Fluffy or RDR pull that off in Vancouver, I would not be surprised if either of them leapfrog Imavov. Does anyone disagree with me?
Not even a little.
Not even a little. I think you both said that exactly at the same time.
We tend to do that. It is bizarre.
You're in sync.
Yeah, we're in sync.
Tell me, Rick, why?
The performance by Imavov was flawless, right? Like it felt like there was only one moment where the momentum could have changed, and it was in that after that third round where Caio had, I think, the clearest win, one round. Felt like, okay, if he can turn it on and take 4, then maybe he has some momentum heading into the end of this fight. Imavov shut that down, won the 4th round, in my opinion, and it never felt like Caio really ever got started. We can kind of talk about whether the weight cut or anything like that was a factor. But having said that, it was a masterclass, but it was not the performance that if I'm sitting there as Dana White or the UFC going, I must give this guy a title shot. And I say that all because this is no disrespect to Imavov or the body of work that he's done. I think his resume is the best at middleweight outside of Khamzat Chimaev. If the win over Israel Adesanya did not get you the title shot, certainly this was not more impressive than that, right? Certainly this was not the one that you all of a sudden open your eyes and all of a sudden you've discovered Nassourdine Imavov. This was not that one. This was a counter-striking technical masterclass. So to me, the door was left wide open for absolute savages in Fluffy Hernandez and RDR to steal that title opportunity and earn that opportunity just based on the fact that they have the momentum right now and the fans are going to want to see that performance.
Pete, agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and it doesn't really, I don't think our feelings come into this at all, to be honest, because it's not how we feel. This is what the UFC have been rewarding guys. Like, this is how they have been doing it. It's about being spectacular. Like, I can tell you, I had 3 phone calls from professional fighters in the UFC yesterday talking about how blown away they were by Imavov and how technically sound he is and how they love how he sets his body up before he throws a single strike. He's always in the right place. That's not really what the UFC are looking for in this day and age. They want big, spectacular moments, and that's why it's still open here. We're not trying, again, as Rick just said, this is no way a critique of Imavov's ability. He's absolutely brilliant. As I said, his own peers are waxing lyrical about what he did to Borralho in this main event. But that's just not what the UFC incentivizes. They want the biggest exclamation mark you can get. So I agree with you. I think it's fully on the plate here for the two lads in October to take away from Imavov. It's not the meritocracy way, but it is the UFC way.
GC, just to be very clear, I would not be upset. I think he deserves it. I think he's done enough. I just think he left the door open. right?
Yeah, if Dana White came out and announced that Imavov was going to get the title shot, I wouldn't be shocked, and I wouldn't be upset about it either. Obviously, his credentials back up him getting a title shot. But Dana White opened the door when he made the announcement and said that it's either going to be between these two or the RDR Fluffy Hernandez fight. And then Imavov's performance on Saturday left that door even more open for two guys whose fighting style lends to exciting moments, lends to finishes, lends to those big, giant moments. And now that the door is open, I think they're going to capitalize on that next month in Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, and the timing works out, right? Because it's a little over a month away, so it's not like we have to wait very long. The champion just fought, so it's not like he's itching to get back in there. All three of these fights happening around, I don't know, less than 2 months of each other, almost exactly 2 months, because I think the last one was August 19th, if my memory serves me correct, and this is October 18th. Anyway, point being, I think, again, I just want to be very clear. He has done enough. He has won 5 in a row against quality opposition. There are a couple of eye pokes here and there. There's a little bit of that, but ultimately, like, Borralho just didn't have anything for him. You do wonder, Pizzi, on this Monday, is Borralho kicking himself for the weight cut in August? This was mentioned. Imavov was poking him, right? He was saying, you're an idiot. Why did you do this? Even Sean Strickland himself, who has trained with Caio Borralho, with a tweet insinuating the same feelings. Caio's my buddy, but he's an idiot. Okay. He trained with us and was useless. Me, what's wrong with you? Caio, I'm cutting. I'm an alternate. So you're giving up 4 weeks of your camp, cutting weight twice while having a fight coming up? Whoever told you to do that, please hit him. Not fire him, just hit him. What do you think of that, PT?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, anyone who spent any time around fighters cutting weight will understand how much these guys deplete themselves. It seems completely counterintuitive to do this to your body before a massive fight. If you've ever been around someone that's cutting weight, it is the closest to death that most people can get while still being alive. So I think it absolutely had an impact. And look, it's not only Caio when you come away from this event, because obviously Hoofy had the bad result as well. I feel like people are using this as a kind of a stick to beat the fighting nerds with. I've seen this kind of thing before with SBG over the years. When you are the hot gym that everyone's talking about, when you do hit a poor patch of form, people tend to turn on you very quickly. We know what the online fan base is like in MMA. I think Caio would have wanted to do a lot more in that fight, but again, as we've been saying since the start of this show, I think we're overlooking how good Imavov was, how ready he was for everything that Borralho was going to come to him with. He was perfectly set up to throw strikes at all times. He had his body in perfect positions over the 25 minutes. He made it very difficult for him. But if you're going to tell me that cutting weight to that extreme had no impact on this performance just a month before they took to the cage in Paris, I have some magic beans to sell you, Ariel.
It's a little bit of a weird one, right? Because he had the number one contender fight for all intents and purposes a couple of weeks later. So did he only do it for the extra 30K, 40K? Like, they're not giving you 100K. So why did you do it? You had the fight. Guys like Volkanovski have done this to try to secure the fight, right? He had the fight. So why I don't understand why he did this.
Two things
Because you
I'd
want
ask.
to impress the bosses. You want to keep them happy.
Certainly that. I agree with PT 100%. And also, as we have seen, this is not the fight. It wasn't the fight. It could have been the fight, but it was not the fight. So without that guarantee, I think you just have to stay in as good standing as you possibly can with the UFC. Because as PT laid out, right, the game is now a political game and a spectacular game. Like, you have to put on the spectacular performance. So I think Caio's put himself in good position to at least get a nice rebound fight and then maybe put himself back there. But I agree with you. Maybe the risk was not worth the reward. But I also think, like, Nassourdine wins that fight every time. Like, that style is just a bad one for Caio. And I think Nassourdine can do that every single time they would fight.
Who was the star of UFC Paris? Other than you with your refereeing, GC.
Amazing job again.
I mean, we talk about Herzog, we talk about Dean. It's constant fuck ups. You never fuck up.
That's right.
It's crazy.
I like made a post on Instagram, and I think people are starting to comment, like, actually thinking I'm that guy.
It's
They were
unbelievable.
like, man, great calls. Like, it's getting way too many likes now, and like a bunch of people that don't follow me are commenting, being like, "Good shit on Saturday." I'm like, no, I'm not actually.
Does anybody know the ref's name? What is his name?
It's like Brett's
Connor Burks.
It's I had his name. I follow him on IG. He's a great
Shout out.
follow on Instagram.
Is he?
I mean, one of the best.
What does he offer? What does he offer up on Instagram?
Pictures of him reffing, octagon shows, local European shows. I mean, he's only there for the Europe and the Abu Dhabi cards. And
Unbelievable.
that's why he's so great, man.
Benoit Saint Denis is the star of the night.
Lucas Bosaki.
Lucas Bosaki.
Shout out Lucas Bosaki.
Legend.
Of I do believe Polish fame or definitely Eastern European.
He's a good-looking guy. That's all I know.
Benoit Saint Denis, huh? Why BSD, Rick?
I think it was one of the bigger spots, right? It was a huge opportunity. It was one of these opportunities that it felt like he was kind of being served up, and maybe in the same way that Dustin Poirier once was being served up against him.
Exactly, yeah.
And Dustin was able to turn the tables. In this scenario, BSD was the one who kind of corrected the record, let everybody see what that there's levels to this game and that he's on a different level. So for me, he was the biggest star in the biggest spot. I will say I've seen a lot of people kind of piling on Fighting Nerds, a lot of people piling on Hoofy. It wasn't too long ago. You go back a few months, and BSD was in the same spot that Hoofy was.
100%.
Where everybody's going, oh, this guy is trash.
Fraud.
He's overrated. Was he a fraud? And now look at him. Now he's back on top. So I think there's still plenty of life in Hoofy and opportunity for him to kind of come back. But for me, that BSD was the star of the night.
Also, I sort of feel like Carlos Prates gets a spinning back elbow knockout 2 weeks ago, and everyone's like, "Fighting Nerds are back."
Yeah.
You know
It's
what
also
I mean?
funny how like anything that becomes popular, people automatically hate it.
These guys.
Like they were the darlings, but now they start losing. All the haters come out for it. I'm with Rick. I say BSD. Just the dominance that he showed. Hoofy had nothing for him.
And what about that celebration? The celebration is
Sully was
part
hard.
terrifying, part exhilarating.
Hit the bang and then
Yes.
pulled out the extra pistol to fucking
I don't know if
finish the job.
he knew where the hard cam was, but it's like it felt like he went to a dark place. That he went to another life there with that. It was all too real. It was damn impressive. What about you, Pizzi? Because there were a lot of your boys there, a lot of the guys that you've been following and covering for a long time from the European scene.
Yeah, I mean, it was just great fights. I think Rick put it perfectly. The BSD basically had his Poirier moment against Hoofy, which was quite ironic. I was all over Hoofy in the lead up to this fight, as the lads know. Apologies, boys. Look, I think he didn't win. Paul Craig's retired, and that's a guy that's given me a lot of time over the years. He's been in the UFC for 9 years. I remember him during his first UFC contract. He lost a fight, and suddenly he was like, yeah, I'll just retire if I don't win the next one. And it was this kind of defeatist kind of attitude, and when you're interviewing, you're kind of like, this guy has 1 foot out the door. He completely rededicated himself to fight, and obviously this is why he's lasted so long. He's had some amazing wins. He's beat 3 UFC champions, Shogun, he's beat Ankalaev, and he's beaten Jamal Hill. And Jamal Hill's, the win over him was like a massacre. That was a crazy fight. And look, he's beloved in Scotland, and he also humanized fighters in this part of the world a lot more than people will give him credit for. This guy was a school teacher. He was incredibly intelligent. Like he was always put forward on these BBC shows, and the people that could understand him, I know your audience sometimes struggled with the Virtue's his brogue, Ariel, but very, very intelligent guy. So I think that was one of my big takeaways from the night. Mason Jones had an absolutely unbelievable fight with Balaji Oki. Oki from Belgium, highly touted prospect, drops Jones. Jones comes back and bludgeons his way to victory. Elbows from Mount finish the job there. But just so many great fights. Obviously not a great night for the Irish. Rhys McKee suffered a loss to Axel Sola. I agree with you. It was a bad stoppage. Sola, one of the highly touted prospects from France. He kind of reminds me of where Tom Duquesnoy was back in the day. He's that guy that everyone's really hot on from the scene. So Rhys taking that fight on short notice. And I felt like he had the fight exactly where he wanted it going into the tour. To end like that, I'm sure he's very disappointed. And of course, Sean O'Bannon lost earlier on as well. So not a great night for the Irish, but I'm sure we will be back as always.
Yes, sir. The Fighting Irish. Let us talk to one of those big winners, and according to several of us on the program, the biggest winner of the evening. And I say evening. It was the evening in Paris, afternoon here in America. I do hope they do more of these. Probably not during college football season, but an afternoon card like that on a Saturday is just what the doctor ordered. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.